to Commander Central, episode 155, and today we're going to be talking about some exciting announcements for Commander in the year of 2020, and then we're going to shift some gears and talk about the brand new MTG format, Pioneer. I'm Max.
And I'm Chris.
And that's right, no Dana today. Dana, actually we're recording on a Friday afternoon. Dana's at Command Fest Chicago.
Is he there now?
Yes, he's been playing all day. He's on game like 298 of the year.
Oh.
So, if you were there, I hope you beat Dana while playing against him.
I want to know, too, if you're there. If you listen to our last episode, I called Dana out on Reki being CEDH. So if you play against his Reki deck, let me know what you think, if it's CEDH or not.
Exactly. So, yeah, we're running the show this week.
Oh, yes, we are.
That's scary.
It is.
Dana might never... He'll have to come back now.
Maybe.
Maybe not. Those EDH guys can have them. I'm kidding. Come back. Don't let them win.
You know what we should have done? We should have thrown everyone for a loop and had your roommate come down here and pretend he was Dana and see if anyone caught on.
I will say Zach Taylor from Commander Social offered to sub for Dana.
Oh, really?
I was talking to him like, yeah, Chris and I are running the show this week. He goes, oh, if I didn't work till 7, I'd call in. So, Chris, how was your Halloween? You go trick-or-treating, or did you stay home and hand out candy?
Went trick-or-treating.
You got to take your kid trick-or-treating?
Yeah, I mean, you get candy instead of giving out candy. I mean, I'm not an old fogey yet. I'm not going to sit at home and do that.
Oh, you're not one of those parents that just waits till they go to bed and then rifle through for all the good stuff and then...
No, I haven't even looked at his candy yet. It's hiding up on the top shelf where he can't get at it.
That's probably smart.
Because he has so much stuff already.
Well, that's good. I was a hermit and, quote, turned the light off and hid in my living room for the hour and a half for trick-or-treating.
It's like 2 hours, dude. It's like 5 to 7.
Well, I didn't get home till like 5:30, so there I killed the first half hour.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it was wicked cold out last night, is what I
It
was
was
told.
not warm, I will tell you that. It's one of the colder Halloweens I've been on.
Ooh, yeah, I remember as a kid, put your coat on over that Spider-Man costume.
Right?
Okay, so we both were at the shop this week. We got some games in. Any interesting stories you want to go over? Besides the fact that you milled me out with your petitioner deck?
Yeah, and then I proceeded to lose that game.
You lost that game?
Enchantment called Patient Waiting or whatever.
I'm-
Five mana enchantment. It says during your upkeep, target player mills the top 3 cards of their library. If any lands go into the graveyard, you draw that many cards.
Okay.
Well, I had my deck down to 1 card, which was Nexus of Fate,
Right.
that I could just loop eternally. Well, that trigger still goes off in the upkeep and forces him to draw. Well, I had it set up where I drew Nexus, played Nexus, so it goes back to my deck, drew for turn. Well, it got down to the point where I had to draw 2 cards and didn't have enough lands to cast Nexus twice.
Oh, no. I was going to say, because when I got booted out of that game, the conversation that was going on was, okay, how do you go infinite? Before I scoop, how does this work?
Yeah, so I cut that enchantment. I'm like, nope, that cost me the game. It's gone. See ya.
Well, I will say I was impressed with your mill deck. It did a lot of work. And for
Kind
some
of.
reason, you targeted me the entire time.
Because you had more threatening board.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I
Like
said-
Ragnar and Krav and
Well,
like all
later
these
in the
tokens. Yeah, because, Mill does just win on 1 turn. It's like you got to slowly accumulate it.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. I'm glad you didn't win that game, though, now.
Yeah. You missed out on my Mogus deck blowing up, though.
Oh, very nice. What happened?
Thorbrand, the new dwarf, the 2/3 or 2/4 dwarf.
With the triple red in the casting
Yep,
cost?
whenever a red spell or a red permanent of yours would deal damage, deals 2 more damage on top of it.
Right.
Well, I had Dictate of the Twin Gods out,
Oh, nice.
plus a Theater of Horrors, which allows me to tap 4 to deal 1 damage to a creature or to a player or planeswalker. Well, becomes 3 with Thorban, and then you double it to 6.
Oh, no.
So all I did was just like ping 6, do this, la la la. Well, I had also had Mimic Vat out, which I had taken someone's Wormcoil engine. So, so I had all this life gain going on, and they couldn't do anything about it.
Oh, well.
Yeah, well, one guy cast that 1 mana tutor from M20 that allows him to tutor and another person to tutor.
Yeah, something symmetry.
Yep, and I begged him, like, let me tutor. And he's like, no. So he lets someone else tutor, and the game's going on and on and on. I'm like, you should have just let me tutor. I would have ended this game. He's like, well, what would you have gotten? I'm like, I would have gotten this red enchantment that costs 3 colorless and a red, and it's got like a flower on it with like vines with thorns on it. And he's like, what is that? And I'm like, I'll show you after the game. So after the game, I pulled it out, and it's mana barbs.
Yep.
Which would have turned into 6 damage every time you tap a land for mana. So...
So not only is that deck AoE damage, it is somewhat on the line of you don't get to play mana.
Yes, that's the whole point. That deck is just meant to like have people hate you.
Hey, that's okay. I like playing against that deck because it does deal out the damage equally.
Yes.
It's a hard deck to focus on someone unless you end up swinging with a creature or something.
Yeah, the first game that I played that night with that deck, I turned 2, used Demonic Tutor to go for Blood Moon because I was playing against 2 5-color decks.
Okay.
So I Blood Mooned him out. Well, the guy proceeded to draw a Hazoret that he played off of the red mana, and then proceeded to just discard cards and kill me with it because I could find no like serious interaction or damage dealer to him. I'm just like, oh, that was a great game. Blood Moon, you screwed me.
I got a couple games in before I played with you. I played my Dromoka deck after making some changes from Throne of Eldraine, and I ruled the skies that game. I kind of feel bad, though. I was playing against an Izzet Super Friends deck, a Mono Black deck, and then a Gyrus deck.
Okay.
And nobody could deal with a turn 3 Luminarch Ascension until about turn 10 when it was Chaos Warped.
That's what Whiptongue Hydra's for, right? It just destroys all the flyers.
It really should be, but 4 Angels and an Elira do a lot of damage in a single turn. But I really want to talk about the card Once and Future from Throne of Eldraine.
Once and Future.
So it's an instant for 3 and a green. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yep.
Then return another target card from your graveyard to the top of your library.
Okay.
But it also has Adamant, so if I spend 3 green to cast it, both cards go to my hand.
Okay.
Either way, the spell gets exiled upon resolution.
Yep.
At instant speed for 4 mana, bringing back a Sigarda Host of Herons and a removal spell is really good. So I am a huge fan of this card. I cut Regrowth thinking, okay, it's 2 more mana. I get 2 things technically, and it's at instant speed, and so far I'm really happy with that change.
Oh, it sounds like a wonderful card.
Yeah, it's a great card. I got to see Return of the Wild Speaker, but I cast Overwhelming Stampede instead just to win the game.
Well, yeah, better be safe than greedy.
Right? I could have done both, but it was just down to me and the Gyrus player, and he had no flying blockers.
Oh, I would have dragged that game out just to make him miserable. I love you.
He's not home yet. It's fine. Otherwise, I got a game in with Tuvasa. That one dragged out a bit. It came down to me and a mono green player. He was playing the mono green Spirit from Kamigawa.
Yep.
It came down to it where I had about 20 cards left in my library. I swung with a bunch of stuff, some tokens off of Sigil of the Empty Throne. Tuvasa was there just as a draw thing because I played her that turn. He ended up doing a bunch of blocks, and then before damage, he Maze of It something, and so I said, okay, well, in response, I'm going to just show you my Ancestral Mask because I had a Sigarda's out.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm just going to cast this on whatever you're not blocking. He goes, okay, yeah, that works.
That works.
That entire turn, I'm doing math. I have a Bear Umbra, and he goes, just show me the Teferi's Protection, and I'll scoop because it was down to me and him. I'm like, I'll show you the 80 cards in my hand, and it's not in here. But I'm like, I have Ancestral Mask. He goes, yeah, that wins.
Yes, it does.
So, real good games this week. A lot of fun at the shop, and I'm glad to be playing EDH again.
Yeah. About time.
About time.
Yeah, because your ducks suck, so.
No, they do not. They're doing fine.
Aren't they like 1-5 or something like that?
No, they're 8-6.
Oh, okay.
We're like 3rd in the Pacific, and like, if the playoffs start tomorrow, we would make the playoffs. That's
By
how
the
okay
skin
we're
of your
doing.
teeth.
Yep. No, by like 2 spots, but
Okay.
close enough.
Go Packers.
Exactly. Go Packers. Can't believe the 49ers pulled it out last night.
I have a friend who is a huge 49ers fan, and her and I we're kind of jaw-jacking back and forth with insults.
NFC Championship right there.
That's what it seems like. I keep telling her, I'm like, when are you guys going to actually play a good team, though? I mean, you're playing all these, like, sloppy teams. You got to play someone good. I'm like, us 7-1 Packers, we played, like, 3 good teams, so what's your excuse?
Oh, wow. Well, if you want to get a hold of us and tell us about your sports hobbies or any games you've been playing lately, where would they do that, Chris?
You can find us on Twitter. That's where we'll start. The
Okay.
Twitter birds. At CMDR Central. You can find us on YouTube, where we have majority content and stuff. Find it there, searching CMDR Central. You can find us on Facebook, searching CMDR Central. Send us a message, comment, whatever you like to do. And you can find us online at cmdrcentral.com.
Yeah, and you can also head over to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code CMDR in all caps to get 10% off or all orders $10 or more. Pick up that Once in Future or maybe some of the future cards coming out in Ikoria next quarter. Or what's the other one that's coming out? Theros.
The one that supposedly all those leaks came out.
Yes.
Which I'm thinking they might be like real, because the way that MTG Goldfish has been posting them everywhere.
Yep. So we'll touch on that quick here. There were some leaks from Theros Beyond Death earlier this week. Our kind of stance here is leaks are bad. You know,
Agreed.
A lot of work goes in on WotC's behalf, and eventually them handing out those preview cards to content creators and streamers. A lot of work goes into that to make those previews really cool and exciting. So leaks are just bad. Obviously, there's a way to we talk about them, but leaks are bad. People just don't leak product.
It ruins the whole week or 2 weeks of releasing of the cards where everyone's hyped about it. Like, oh, what new ones are we getting this week or this day or whatever?
Exactly. So please don't leak cards, everybody. Onward, though.
Unless they reprint like Liliana the Veil or Lightning Bolt. If they reprint Lightning Bolt in Standard, you can find me on Twitter at @WiseSquishy1, and you can send me that one because I really want to know.
DM him, just do everything. Oh, it's going to have a clause on it, though, where, like, if you don't win the game next turn, you lose. But you can have up to 6 in your deck.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Okay, you can also head over to Patreon and support us there if you are so inclined to do so. We have rewards like the pin, access to our chat on Slack, where we talk about those leaked cards or any new previews coming out, along with some other rewards like the Decks You Play series and whatnot. Final place you can see us is teespring.com.
What up, homie?
We have a little contest going on till the end of the year. If the Scumbags Unite t-shirts or sweatshirts sell more than the trash card shirts or sweatshirts, the loser will take a pie in the face.
Or Dana. I really, if he's listening to this.
He will be.
I hope he is.
No, he left us in charge. He will listen.
I still say that the ultimate plan should be we get this all set up, we're going to do it, and all of a sudden, blam, in Dana's face instead, and just be like, whoa.
I have an idea. We'll talk after air because he can't find out about it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Secrecy.
I have an idea.
We're plotting.
But we'll do a little score upkeep here. Chris, you are in second place.
Oh!
By one shirt.
When did that happen?
Over the last couple days, it went from 4-3 you to 4-4, because on Tuesday we were tied.
Yep, we were tied.
And then when I checked today, I'm up by 1.
Can I have your bank account number to see if it's you buying these shirts?
It is not me. Yet. Christmas is coming. I need gifts from my nieces. Explain that one to the kindergartner teacher.
Right?
What's a scumbag? My uncle. And then we do have some new patrons to say thank you to.
Indeed.
So we have Patrick Simonay. I'm really sorry that I butchered that. I apologize. Frederick Weaver, Alex Boy, that's supposed to be Bruno Casagranda Neves, Seferin Ochoa III, awesome name, Todd Chamberlain, Taylor Thiessen, Joseph Simpson, and Frugal Brutal. So thank you, everybody that supports us or has continued to support us on Patreon.
Just remember all our Patreon supporters who Max butchers their names. I would not do that to you. So you should get a trash card shirt so I can pie Max and just be ultimate payback. That'll even be my saying when I go on, when we're doing this on video, I'll be like, this is for everyone's name that you butchered. And just
that's pure shade. Well, then next year I'm giving up this to someone else. We have some contests that are wrapping up, and we'll be announcing the winners of those on next week's show. We'll do that when Dana gets back, and we got to get that deck bought for that Sir Gwen deck we built. Mm-hmm. But we are going to announce the new contests for November. So on Twitter, if you like and follow and retweet the tweet, we're going to be giving away 2 pins. One is of the Simic symbol and one is of the Teamer symbol that we've gotten through Dana's Collections Adventures, I think. So
It was quite amusing when we're looking at the pins. We're both like, what symbol is that?
what con symbol is this? I know it's not Jeskai, and that's where I ended.
Yep. Oh, Google, we love you.
Exactly. And then for Patreon, speaking of our t-shirts, if you support us on Patreon by the end of November or continue to support us, we're going to be drawing 2 names this month. And we'll get in contact with you, and you will be able to pick out a Commander Central t-shirt from our Teespring store on us, and we'll order it and ship it over to you. So that whether that's the logo, just the logo Dana's saying, even though he's not in this contest, that's how they troll us. They just start buying Dana's shirt.
What is his?
High floor, low ceiling.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I thought it was Games Gotta End, because that's the sweatshirt that
That's
he
the
wears all the
sweatshirt
time.
he has, yep. Or my shirt. You could always pick my shirt because my shirt's the best.
Because this does not go towards our
No,
contest.
it does not go towards our contest.
Yeah, so pick Max's shirt.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Or
He needs the ego boost.
wow.
Shots fired! Pew 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 pew.
And that was the end of our show, everybody. Okay. So let's start talking. Earlier this week, Gavin Verhey, Josh Lee Kwai, and Jimmy Wong all sat down and announced a ton of stuff for us Commander folks for the year.
A lot
of stuff for news for Commander in 2020. So next year. So we're going to pull up the official announcement here, and we'll just kind of give a summary and give our thoughts on what's coming and what we think is going to be happening from a player's perspective. So I guess I'll start off. They said they're recognizing Commanders, the format they should be supporting. It's the way players are starting to learn how to play Magic, which I think is really cool. Difficult, but cool. And so we're getting a lot of new products next year.
It's kind of overwhelming, the amount.
It is overwhelming, but hopefully, in my opinion, from a Commander player's perspective, it's not as overwhelming as it was maybe this year when we just got set after set after set. Because I'm a Commander player, I actually want to buy these products versus looking at every, constructed set. It's like, okay, what cards from this set do I need? What cards from this set? Where, cool, I can just go buy a bunch of pre-built decks and rip what I want, or buy singles, obviously.
Yep.
So the first big announcement was that Commander 2020 is coming out in April next year, not November, not June or July or August like it has been in the past few years. It's coming out in April, so what, 5 months away? 6 months away? Something like that.
Well, let's see. So November to May is 6 months, so 5 months.
5 months. And that'll be released. There'll be 5 decks this time instead of 4. And they're going to be themed along the same lines of Ikoria, the standard set that's coming out in April.
Yep.
To the point where you'll get these at pre-release.
He even put this in quotations in his article, will not be legal.
In standard.
No, will not be legal for play until after release date.
Okay, well. Oh, well.
I know how you guys do.
We use our pre-release cards in our Commander decks the next Tuesday after pre-release.
Oh, yeah, everyone does.
Exactly. So, 5 new decks, all themed with this standard set. Chris, what do you think about that?
I like it to a point.
To a point.
See, I liked when they did the decks that were themed on their own, but this is now theming into the set.
Okay.
Which, then again, maybe the mechanics will be more along the lines of set. So instead of having a 200-card set or 250-card set, you also get because there's 71 new cards.
71 new cards across all 5 decks. The Commander-only cards that will be found in the decks won't be in the draft set.
Yep.
But we might see some standard cards in these decks.
Yep. So 71 cards plus, say, your 250, that puts you at
300 something?
Yeah, 320 cards. So that would be, maybe the mechanics will work better. It'll allow you to do more things. Whereas, we'll take the Kaladesh block, for instance. If they would have done a Commander set, Energy might have been viable in Commander then.
Wow, it's like you listened to the announcement because Gavin said something similar for a different product we'll be getting to soon.
Interesting.
Yeah. I do like that we're getting them kind of tied into a standard set. Especially because, and this is someone, I don't remember who, someone said this on Twitter. I was scrolling through today. It might be a good opportunity to where, we hear of these legendary creatures that might not get a card, or these story characters that they don't have room for a card for until maybe we revisit that plane.
Yep.
Maybe that's how they're going to do it now. This legendary creature that's referenced on all these standard cards in the flavor text or maybe in the art, but doesn't get their own card there, will be leading a deck instead.
That'd be pretty cool.
I think that's a really cool way from a lore perspective to say, like, cool, we couldn't fit XYZ characters from Ravnica in, but next time we go to Ravnica, they'll just get a commander deck along with the standard set coming out.
I hope we never go back to Ravnica.
Oh, yeah,
I've been there enough.
We say that every time, but 6 years goes by quick. If we're still doing this show in 6 years, I will happily welcome Ravnica back.
As long as Jace isn't part of it, I guess we'll do it.
That's fine. Okay, so the second announcement made was when Zendikar Rising comes out later in 2020, we're getting 2 more Commander decks with that. With the premise being, they want to support Commander all year long.
Yes, it's also going to be replacing the Planeswalker decks.
It is. So these are going to be probably a smaller box on the shelf at your LGS or Walmart or whatnot. And these are a little different. It's still a full Commander deck, 100 cards, your Commanders. But there are only 3 new cards in each of these 2 decks. So my guess would be they're probably the Commanders.
More than likely.
Yep. But the rest will be your reprints, your staples, your harmonizes, your cultivates.
Which he did say earlier in his article that they want to give us more reprints. And they're looking for ways of doing it besides making like a conspiracy or a battle bond or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, the article flat out says the format is growing and it's growing fast. We need to get reprints for for your Commander decks, not just of older cards that have never been reprinted, but even ones that have been reprinted recently. I mean, Kodama's Reach hasn't been reprinted since Modern Masters. Maybe another Master set besides that. Farseek's kind of that way.
Yes.
I'm naming a bunch of green cards because I know Gavin named a bunch of green cards, and that video's just stuck in my head right now.
Okay.
Maybe I rewatched it to prep for this show.
Maybe.
So that moves on to a new supplemental product, though. We're getting a Commander Collection.
And guess what? It's green.
It's green. So these are going to be very similar to your Spellbook series products, except they're going to be 8 cards, and they're all going to be reprints. And the cool thing is all of them will have new art, and they'll depict legendary creatures within the art.
Yep.
So like Chris said, Commander Collection Green is coming out in late 2020. 8 new cards, 8 reprints of Commander staples is what I would assume. And these will come in 2 formats. You'll get a non-foil version or a foil version. So a little different than the spellbooks.
It's going to depend on your store, too. I am sad to say to everyone, if you haven't watched the thing, if you are a low store, like low class.
Like a low WPN level store.
Don't have a lot of people in, you're not going to receive the foil version.
Yep. And that's the extra thing I want to throw in here. This is specific for WPN stores. So these won't be at Amazon through Wizards, is what I'm guessing. They won't be at Walmart, Target. This is your friendly local game store. Another way to support them. So go ahead out, do that. If your store does pre-orders, find out when and try to grab one, because these are going to be really, really beneficial for us Commander players.
It's kind of an annoyance to me because now I need to start collecting these along with my spellbooks, because I have my spellbooks sitting up with my bookshelf with my books, and I'm just like, yes, more.
Well, if they print that foil Nature's Lore, Dana's just going to buy every foil copy of it ever.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, Chris, you want to cover the last big announcement from earlier this week?
There's another announcement?
There is.
Oh, wait, there is.
And I figured you should talk about this because this is kind of the format you like to play sometimes.
Yep, this is actually the one that I'm most excited about.
Me too. I will agree with that.
It is called Commander Legends. So this is, as he words it, Draft meets Commander. Now, these are going to be packs that are 20 card booster packs, which is going to be really weird. I'm really interested to see how this is going to work. All right, so each one of these 20 card packs will come with a foil and 2 legendary creatures. So out of your 20 cards, that's 17 cards that are guaranteed of something. Now, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work for sure. I don't know. They don't really have the ruling up on it, but I know that they're excited about this because this is something that Gavin's been trying to make work.
For years.
Yep.
I
And
mean,
he said that they finally cracked it on how to do it. So I'm very interested. I will, as soon as this comes out, it's probably the first thing I'm going to do is try and get a pod going for this.
yeah. So, I mean, 20 card booster packs. That means you need 4 to 5 packs to build a deck. So if you do 3 packs, that's 60 cards, and that leaves you
40 lands.
40 lands for a draft. Maybe that's okay.
Maybe that's how they have it set up, is just to set it up that way.
Now, you mentioned there are 2 legends per pack, but how many legends are we expecting maybe in this entire set?
Oof, that's a good question.
Well, we know there are going to be 70 brand new legends.
70?
Now, they don't say creatures.
No, they do not.
So-
Which is very interesting, because even when you read it, 70 new legends, you go back and you're just like, okay, so are we going to hit all these legendary enchantments now, or legendary lands, or what's going to happen here?
Right. So, I mean, they did spoil one. We're getting a new Berenson gear in this set, which is awesome. That great lore character from way back in the day finally getting to shine again. And they also previewed the art. I don't remember, so I apologize, everybody, but it is the Planeswalker art. So there are going to be some Planeswalkers in this set as well. So, put your tinfoil hats on. Maybe these, since it's a draft set, will say that fun little line can be your commander on them.
That would be pretty cool.
It'd be, especially if there's only maybe 2 or 3 in the entire set.
Yes. Well, it also would make drafting it easier, because then you don't have to go pick one. I have to take a legendary and stick to this section
Right.
of legendary.
Yeah.
Especially, let's say you're in a pot of 8 people and someone cracks that same legendary. Then the 2 of you are fighting over, let's say it's a 3 color.
Right.
So you guys are fighting over all the staples for those.
Right. I mean, but still, 70 brand new legends on top of whatever they reprint. That blows my mind.
Yeah. My biggest curiosity with this is how much it's going to cost.
I have a few big curiosities. How much is a pack? How much is a box? How many packs come in a box? Is this going to be more like a conspiracy box where there's 24? Is it going to be like a standard box where there's 36? Are they going to make a weird round number so you can always, a box equals 1 or 2 pods or whatever?
Yep. Which I would like that information too, because it's going to make it easier to set up drafts, to fire drafts, and you're going to know how much product you actually have to do it.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I've done a Commander Sealed event before. I've done a rotisserie draft before, and those are challenging it themselves as it is, because with the Sealed event, you just get random packs from Magic's history and hope you find a legend, or you get a pool of legends to pick from.
Yep.
But everything's in the box. I can't wait. This is something that I want to be able to do. I want to be able to buy a couple boxes, keep them with me, and when we go to Magic Fest or get together on the weekend, we can bust one of these out and have fun all afternoon long. Are there any things you want to see in this Commander Legends, as in like reprints wise?
I'm not really sure.
No?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that too hard,
Okay.
because most of the stuff, well, for me, I have access to it already, so it's not really like steep reprints I want to see.
Right.
Aside from reserve list cards, please, Wizards, destroy the reserve list.
And there
I know
just
everyone
went all
hates
of our
me.
YouTube comments right there.
That's fine. I mean, this is just a personal opinion from me.
No, I get it. You're not the only one who has this, too.
Yep, I'm not digging at anyone. I understand the financial aspect of it. But for players, especially a lot of new players I've been playing with, when you drop down a dual land or something that's really expensive, they're just in awe about it because they can't get their hands on it.
Can't get their hand. And maybe not even a dual land, but what about, some enchantment that's on the reserve list that does a ton of work, and
Yep.
it may not be hundreds of dollars, but, $50, $70 is still a lot for a new player, whether it's a high schooler, or a college kid, or even an adult.
Yep. I would like to see, now that we're talking about this, functional reprints of cards that are on like the dual list.
Yeah, I definitely see them walking that line as aggressively as possible in the future.
Yep.
I mean, we already saw that with the Ixalan flip lands. We've seen it with some other stuff from like Modern Horizons. So I think it's possible. I just think they're going to be very careful on which side of that line they walk on for a while. And of course, last but not least, with Commander Legends,
You get 2 new decks
we
as
get
well.
2 new decks as well. So yeah, so the Ikoria Commander decks that come out in April are typical yearly Commander decks.
They're the typical yearly.
So they have the tie-ins to Ikoria, but we get 5 decks. They aren't the small one. They're going to be in the cool big box. The Commanders will be foil. My guess is these smaller ones that are going to be coming with Zendikar Rising and Commander Legends are going to be the smaller ones.
Commander Masters.
Commander
That's pretty much what it is.
Isn't that Battle Bond? Those won't have the big box. It'll look like the Planeswalker deck, and
Yep.
probably only the face card might be foil, not all 3 legends, if those are what the pattern is going to be like.
Yep, and it'll be 3 new cards not found in the draft boosters,
Exactly. So
which is even more interesting because this is where I would go off the limb and say that these are probably not the legends then.
they're either a
Unless they're going to overload us with legends, which then seems like they're pushing it a little too hard.
little too hard. I think they're either going to... I think the face card will be one of the new cards. I think it kind of has to be if they want these things to sell, in my opinion. It'd be cool to see a Planeswalker. Like
That'd be
something
interesting.
that's not standard legal as a Planeswalker. So yeah, I think it'd be cool. The face card is the legend. Maybe a Planeswalker that maybe isn't standard legal.
One of kind of like the crappy ones, but make it more viable.
EDH focused.
Yep.
Maybe not great in standard, or Pioneer, but maybe it's really good in Commander. And then the third card could be, I don't know, Arcane Signet. Just put Arcane Signet in every one of these decks next year and I'll be a happy boy.
No, please don't.
They got to reprint it somehow.
Please don't.
Okay, so that's all the new Commander products for 2020. I'm excited. Are you excited, Chris?
Yeah, I'm kind of mind blown because it's way too much product coming out. Because this is what has me blown right now is now we haven't heard anything about any spring supplemental set aside from this Commander stuff,
Right.
or a fall set that could be coming, or a summer set. So there could be another Modern Masters. There could be a Battle Bond 2. I mean, any of that stuff could be coming too, and it's an overload of product, and it's hard to keep up with.
Right. I mean, in like February we get those unset pre-constructed decks.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. It is a lot of product once again, but I like I said earlier, I look at it from the point of a Commander player. I'll get the 5 decks that are coming out with Ikoria. Maybe the smaller ones that come out with Zendikar and the other Commander Legends. Maybe those are decks that, when they post a deck list, it's like, oh, I really only need 2 cards from these. Oh, and I can also get those cards from the standard set. Cool, I'll go do an F&M and draft and try to pull the card. Or maybe I'll get them in my pre-release. But the other side of that is I'm not a competitive player. Like you are most of the people we hang out with. This, to me, this makes me feel like I really don't need to pay attention. I don't need to worry about buying standard product, whether it's a box because I want to buy a box or I want my chance to pull X Teferis of Hero Dominaria. I can just focus on these Commander decks instead.
True.
So from a Commander player's perspective, personally, I like the fact that they're coming alongside all these standard sets because I don't have to focus on saving up to buy boxes of standard stuff.
Miss out on your Kenrith Return King.
Yeah, I still need a copy of that. I know someone with a non-foil.
I know the shop has a non-foil too.
Ooh.
I think it's only like $12 too.
It probably is. Okay, the final news of Commander stuff was actually announced earlier today at Command Fest Seattle.
I know nothing of this.
I know, I literally added it about 10 minutes before I left work.
I've been super busy all day, so.
Which is fine. The Sheldon Memory announced they have added a new member of the Commander Advisory Group in Olivia Goberthix. She's a big-time cosplayer, streamer. She does like the Teysa Karlov cosplay. She does Atraxa. Her work's great, so we want to say congratulations, Olivia, and we look forward to what you bring to the CAG and future thoughts on Commander.
Yep. Ban Sol Ring.
Sure. Keep Rift, ban Sol Ring. I'll just bump my lands up by 1 again.
I'm finally playing Cyclonic Rift, and I've only cast it like twice, and I'm like, this card is so busted.
Okay. So, let's change some gears. And let's talk Pioneer.
What's Pioneer?
Pioneer is the new format sanctioned by Wizards. So this isn't a Oathbreaker. It isn't a Tiny Leaders. This is something Wizards has come up with, and if people remember a few years back, there was a format called Frontier.
Yep.
Very similar.
Which I do believe was pushed by a group of pros from Japan.
Correct, because of product availability, and Standard was terrible at the time.
Which it is now.
Exactly. So, Chris, you were actually at the first night of Pioneer at the shop.
I was.
Do you want to give us a rundown on what the format's about?
So basically what the format's about, it is very similar to, I will relate it to Modern.
Okay.
So we're going to start from Return to Ravnica
Okay.
all the way up to present day now.
Is this a rotating format? Will eventually RTR block drop off?
No, this is going to be an eternal format.
Ooh.
Now, according to the article, I'm going to summarize up basically what they say. What they want this to be is a place for people who play Standard and bought Standard cards to use their cards still. Very similar to how when they first made Modern,
Okay.
which Modern is now since 2003. If you do the math, I can't do math that fast.
16 to 17, 18 years old.
16.
16 years. Well, it's almost the end of the year.
2008. Okay. I was like, as soon as you start saying it, I'm like, maybe this math is pretty easy.
I mean, Halloween happened. It's pretty much Christmas. It's the new year. I mean, I'll walk into Walmart tomorrow and there'll be Christmas trees up. So
Yep. So basically, they wanted to do this, and they wanted something fresh because Modern, as they put it, is pretty much figured out. Now, I don't agree with that.
I just saw a vein pop out of your forehead.
I don't agree because I still think it's a Brewers format. But having this new, I call this the Rage format because everyone's about it right now. It allows you to brew even more because you get to play with all these cool cards. Like, let's take Elspeth Sun's Champion, for instance. Seeing how we're going back to Theros.
Great.
Amazing card. Sees no Modern play.
Because it's 6 mana.
Because it's 6 mana. Now, in this format, it's going to work.
Yeah, because so let's talk about that. So before describing maybe what you saw at the shop this week, just your initial impression from when the format was announced, do you think this is going to be a fast format, a slow format? Is it still being figured out? Is there room for everything still?
I think it's still in its early stages.
Okay.
I saw, yes, there's a few decks that could be fast.
Yep.
There are a few decks that are slow, but it didn't really seem like even if you are playing a fast deck versus a slow deck that the power level's discrepant. Like when you go into Modern or Legacy, if I'm playing a super fast deck and you're playing a slow deck, my chances of winning are astronomically larger.
You have a great win percentage against a slower control
Yes.
deck if you're playing something like Burn.
Yes.
Okay. So in Pioneer, like you said, it's still being figured out. The format's a
It
week
is.
old,
It
2
is.
weeks old. But I mean, like you said, everybody's excited for this. There's been tournaments that have gone from Standard to Pioneer because of lousy attendance
We'll even just say SCG Con changed just this last week
yes.
from Standard to Pioneer because they think that Standard is in a bad place and things are not figured out and people are just not having fun.
Yeah. I think the big thing there was they took the cue from GP
Phoenix?
where they had 500 some odd people register for the main event, the Standard main event. That's a really low number for a Standard main event in a big city like Phoenix.
Yep.
So close to the California and the West Coast. So that's great.
I do believe that is the first Pioneer format to be GP set up.
For the SCG?
For regular Wizards Channel Fireball, which is GP.
Yeah, next year. That's
Yep,
right.
in February.
And that kind of
I
goes
know this because I have a lot of teammates that are going to this, and they keep trying to con me into going, and they're like, "Oh, it's only like $140 round trip with the plane," and I'm like, "No."
I know someone you could stay with out there. I mean, do you like bears? Because we have a fan of ours that lives out in the Phoenix area, I think.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that thing you posted on Slack, by the way, and I loved that card. I need one in my life, just so you know.
Right? The altered one or the non-altered one?
The altered one.
Exactly. I'll start playing red for it. You're right, and that kind of goes back to the WotC sanctioning this format. They released the format for the first quarter of the Magic Fest schedule next year, and Pioneer is on 4 events. 4 events. We have Brussels, Nagoya, Phoenix. Okay, 3 events. They need to change the font. It all blends together in my eyes.
At least you can read it.
True. But that's a lot of big publicity for these events,
It is.
for this brand new format.
The thing I really like about this format, and I don't know if they did this purposefully, but it's actually bringing a lot of revenue to stores.
Secondhand market.
Yes.
you can't. It's pretty hard to find RTR packs still in the box without shelling out $25 a piece.
Yep, and it allows for like people who have massive collections of just bulk sitting there, instead of shipping it off to sell, where you get pennies on the dollar for it. All of a sudden, these cards become viable for use.
Exactly. We'll touch on some of that aspect, the financial side, a little bit later. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I have bulk sitting right behind me, and RTR is really when I started spending all my money on Magic. And so, like, I have a lot of these cards that I'm seeing on MTG Goldfish in deck lists. Like, oh yeah, I played during that block. I have 60% of this deck. All I need is like a couple check lands, and I'm good to go. So they did announce a ban list for this new format.
They did.
And right now it's just the 5 fetch lands from Khans of Tarkir.
Yep, the pay 1 life fetch lands.
Yes. And the reasoning behind that is because of all the duels in the format. We have the shocks, we have the battle for Zendikar lands, we have the cycle lands from Amonkhet. Am I missing out? Those are all the duels, right? That's 3. That's a complete cycle of duels from the shocks. We have and a half cycle from the other 2 sets.
And both of the other 2 sets are allied. Yep.
And aren't these the allied fetches that they banned?
Yes, they are.
Oh, that's coincidental.
Maybe.
It's like they know what they're doing. Maybe.
Have you seen Oko, Thief of Crowns? I don't know if they know what they're doing.
I think Oko is great. I appreciate elk. They are delicious.
Yes. You go on Wikipedia and look up Magic the Gathering, and it's called the format of elks.
Yes, it is.
Where you turn things into elk and give your opponent an elk token.
I actually am an elk. So, what do you think about this ban list for a brand new format? Because when Modern started, it had a very lengthy ban list, if I remember.
Yes. I like this because it turns it, as I was saying earlier, into a Brewers format. Yeah. Because now you're not cheating like 4 or 5 color decks. You have to really think about how you're going to do it, because you are limited to 2 fetches, which is Evolving Wilds and Fabled Passage. Both have clauses on them. Evolving Wilds is a basic, comes into play tapped. Fabled Passage is a basic, comes into play tapped unless you control 4 or more lands. Then it comes into play untapped. But it's only basics. You can't go for dual lands.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
That makes things easier, I guess, for the fact that you're not going to see some of those old standard decks just come back and being a powerhouse again.
True. Of course, your Crew Fix is still awesome.
Oh, yeah, it is. I'm so glad. I think I have a bunch of those in my binder. Okay. So, we had the Pioneer kickoff at our shop, D20 here in Eau Claire.
We did.
How many people showed up?
16 people.
What?
Yes, we had 16 people for the first day.
That's what we get for EDH nights.
And what was quite amusing about this?
Were they all playing the same deck?
No.
Oh, thank God.
They were all our Modern crowd who showed up.
Really?
Yes.
So they wanted to brew. They're excited by the newness and the freshness.
Yep.
Any decks really stand out to you while watching or even playing? Did you play?
Oh, yes, I did. Of course I did.
What did you play?
I played Sultai Oko.
As you just complained about Oko, you have to, though. Oh, I mean, it
Yes.
won a league on MTGO.
Oko is just so good, and I had a majority of the cards anyways. The only thing I had to fetch out for was for Jace Vryn's Prodigy, which is just makes me sick to my stomach knowing how the prices are going on that card.
Yeah. So what other decks did you see?
I saw Mono Blue Devotion.
Okay.
Which is if you remember back in Standard, you had your Thassa, Master of Waves, all that.
Yeah.
Well, now you have cards like Siren Storm Tamer and the Curiosity Enchantment and
The Cavaliers.
it was gross.
Yeah.
There was a Taking Turns deck
With Nexus.
with the Nexus, and then you get like Dictated Crew Fix, which allows you to draw extra cards.
I'm so excited. Now I actually want to play this format even more. I can do scumbag stuff in this format?
Yes. I saw a couple of Boros decks. There was a couple of Arclight Phoenix decks.
Okay.
Which are very similar to their standard versions, but they got a couple of other random cards thrown in with it. And then I saw it was like a weird Dredge Zombies deck of some
Field
sort.
of the Dead?
No, he was like doing zombie shenanigans with cards out of his graveyard, and I don't know how the deck worked, but he went undefeated for the night, so I gotta like get a look at the deck list.
Right. I actually heard I was listening to Magic Mike's today, catching up on their show from this week, and someone did mention there is a dredge-like deck in Pioneer right now.
Yep.
Which got Erin all excited. She's like, "Oh, I like this."
I mean, you don't actually get like the dredge mechanic per se, but
But there's enough from the newest Ravnica sets and whatnot,
Yes.
past core sets that interact with your graveyard.
And then I saw one mill deck.
Was it it wasn't yours.
No, it was not me. Because you get access to like Tome Scour and
Traumatize?
Traumatize was M14 legal, so it is legal. Yep. You get access to all those cards.
That's awesome. So you kind of touched on it. Mono Blue Devotion, that was a powerhouse when the little bit I played Standard back in the day. Do you think Pioneer is going to be something like just that old reunion of the best Standard decks from these sets? Or are we going to see fresh new brews, or maybe just a take on those powerhouse Standard decks from the past?
I think it's going to be a mixture of both fresh new brews and takes on the other powerhouses. Because if you think back now that since you don't have such a broad band of what you do in Modern, so you go back to what decks won. Like I was reading an article from, I do believe it was Brad Nelson.
Okay.
That what he did when he looked through it all, if it wasn't Brad, I'm terribly sorry, that what he did was he went back years upon years and seen what Standard decks were really powerful. And then he looked at what cards were available in the pool and like, oh, well, this card is so much better than this card, but yet it fits the theme of the deck.
Okay. So, I'm interested in the format. I'm going to kind of watch from our bands and stuff, and I'll touch on that here in a minute. I played that Mono Blue Devotion deck back in the day. I played a White Weenie Life Gain deck back in the day. I really am interested in like the Mono Black Devotion decks right now, especially with all the stuff we got from Ravnica and Throne of Eldraine, Murderous Rider and Vraska's Contempt. Like, it just seems like I just want to play Mono Black Control. Just kill everything.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll just give you Elks.
Okay. I can kill my own elk. Something we didn't speak of when we were talking about the ban list was they just announced yesterday on Twitter that they're going to be making updates to the ban list, whether they ban something or not, every Monday until the foreseeable future for Pioneer.
Okay.
Because of how fast it took off, how many events are starting to switch over to it because from Standard not doing so hot right now.
Yep.
I think they really want to maybe jump on this before it gets out of control when it's only 1 to 3 decks that are ruling the format. So, hey, let's ban Oko and see what happens.
I think that's a bad ban, but
Right.
okay.
No, I'm just using it as an example.
Standard, yes. Ban him all day long in Standard.
Not till after the Mythic Championship.
I know. I saw that announcement.
So, yay.
It's okay. I don't like Standard anyways.
But, I saw someone say what they thought would be interesting. What if they take this to be creative with the ban list? Let's unban the fetches, but ban the shocks. You can still go fetch your allied duels, but you ban your shocks, right? I made the same face you just made, which was the, huh?
Right?
But, I like the thinking outside the box.
Yes.
A little bit.
I would like to see if they're going to do this continual ban list until they figure things out. If they ban something, say they get 20 cards on the ban list.
Right.
And they keep banning stuff, they should start unbanning things and see how it plays out.
I 100% agree with that. You need to have some balance in order versus just a giant stack of cards you don't get to play anymore.
I mean, we're like, as in Modern, we'll take the Stoneforge Mystic unban. Everyone had been clamoring for that for years because they knew that it wouldn't hurt the format. And finally they did it, and it hasn't hurt the format.
No. I mean, that was kind of the same with Jace.
Yep.
When they unbanned Jace last year. So I'm really interested to see what is going to happen on when this show airs, to be honest. If there is a ban already, if there isn't, maybe they're going to let SCGCon happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
they need to have a major event, I think, somewhere where there's thousands of people that show up for it.
Yeah, because SCGCon is the weekend of November 15th.
Which is 2 weeks away.
Yep. GP Max's house. So it'll be cool to watch that. I'm sure they'll stream it on Twitch, and we can have that on in the background somewhere.
Probably.
Okay. So we are an EDH podcast. We should probably discuss a little bit on how this might impact the EDH players who maybe don't want to play Pioneer or might want to capitalize on Pioneer becoming a format.
Indeed.
And that brings us to, and big disclaimer, we are not a finance podcast. But we do dabble in it a little bit here and there.
Well, we're not finance, but it's nice to inform our viewers of things that we've seen.
Exactly. And that is for sure the thing I have seen this week is Pioneer got announced, and all these cards that don't see play in Modern are now $3. $3 uncommons because they're going to be a powerhouse in Pioneer.
Or they go from $5 to $45.
Yes. Are your Jason Prodigies being back up to forever high amounts of money? So, we in EDH, the first thing I always know is some of the most expensive cards in EDH are your land base.
Yes.
So Pioneer has Shocks, Checks, Pains. That's the Cycle lands and the Battle for Zendikar dual lands.
Yep.
That's 5 sets of dual lands, essentially. Shocks, is this kind of the nail in the coffin that says Shocks will never go below $10 again?
Could very well be.
I mean,
honestly, because that's 2 formats now that are playing them religiously in their decks.
And budget versions of Vintage or Legacy.
Yep.
What would typically happen was, the Ravnica set will rotate out a standard, and then you get maybe 3 to 4 Shocks of the 10 go sub $10.
Yep.
The ones that see play in Modern stayed above 10. Well, now we have this format where you need these. You need the Shocks desperately.
Yes.
I think maybe more than you need them in Modern.
Oh, that's kind of pushing it.
Pushing it?
Yeah.
Okay. But maybe on the same level.
Yes.
I think these is the thing that's going to keep them at $10 or more for a very long time.
I agree.
What I do find interesting, and this is, I think, something that's kind of being said about Standard right now, is there are land destruction lands in Pioneer.
Yes.
There are 2 of them. You get Encroaching Waste and Field of Ruin.
Yep.
Do you think that's going to come in handy? Are there viable targets besides those flip lands to blow up?
We'll find out next week when I play that Field of the Dead deck that I have in mind.
That's awesome. And then some other notable lands that I either run in my decks or I know people run their decks that are legal in Pioneer. Inventor's Fair.
Yep.
So I've heard there's an Affinity-esque build in Pioneer right now. That's a great card for that. Rogue's Passage. That's a great card for Voltron decks in EDH. Hey, if you need to get your big dragon through in Pioneer, maybe that's how you do it.
Indeed.
Scavenger Grounds, our friend here.
Yeah, that's a very interesting card because you don't get your Bajuka Bogs, you don't get, you do have Leyline of the Void and Rest in Peace.
Yes.
But that's also having a land now.
And you have Anafenza.
Yes.
So there are some graveyard hate strategies in Pioneer that are easily affordable.
Yep.
But the big one of them all is Urborg. Tube of Yawgmoth is legal in Pioneer.
The one thing I see about that card, though, is...
Cabal Stronghold.
Yes, there is Cabal Stronghold, but I don't see it being super relevant.
No Cabal Coffers. There's no good way besides Cabal Stronghold to double your mana that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yep.
So you can go Torment to Hailfire for 12. Because that's legal in Pioneer, too.
There is wonderful way. It's called Nykthos, Shrine of Nyx.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I forgot about that one.
So, yeah, overall, I think price is really going to fluctuate hard.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's a lot of cards that people are playing right now that I do see a lot of in Commander as well. You touched on lands. I touched on Elspeth Sun's Champion.
Yep.
You got your Siege Rhinos, your Tassigers, all that stuff that does see Commander play. So, in my personal opinion, my advice to people with this is trade. This is a perfect time to trade for cards that you're looking for, especially I know there's people who don't play a whole lot of Commander, but have extensive collections, and they want to play other formats. So you can trade for Commander staples with your cards that you're not actually using.
Those standard are maybe slightly out of standard cards.
Yes.
Very good advice, and I completely agree. We've said in the past we have hit or miss luck when it comes to trading, whether it's at our LGS because we're there on the wrong night and nobody brought trade stuff, or even at Magic Fest. Do I bring my binder or not? And
I have found out how to trade now at Magic Fest.
How?
I have a guy who I play with. His name's Robert.
Yep.
And he has a hugely extensive collection. And he was actually my ride from Indianapolis. So I sat with him for a couple hours as he did trading. And he told me what you do is you find an empty table, pull out all your binders, and just sit there.
And let people come to you.
And people will see you sitting there, and they're like, oh, that dude's trading. Let's go over and trade.
Awesome.
Yep.
Good to know. So is there anything else about Pioneer you want to talk about? You're the guy playing it right now out of all three of us, or two of us, I should say.
I really like the format.
Okay.
I hope that people come and play it. I mean, even if you are a Commander player, I know, I'm going to give an example in our shop. We don't like pub stomping games. We don't like...
For Commander.
Yep, the CEDH and Commander, that kind of stuff. If you have that competitive streak in you, and if you started around that time, this is a perfect opportunity for you to get into something that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg like it is to get into Legacy or into Modern. So you can actually just jump right in, have fun, do it. If you don't like it, you're not out.
You're out your evening. You're out your... And maybe the entry fee for the event at the store if there was one.
Yes.
So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I've said it. I'm excited about this format. You know, I want to start playing it probably once the holidays calm down because we're ramping into that. But I'm looking forward to it. It's the standard sets that I played when I played Standard, so it's really nostalgic for me.
It is. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Okay, well, that, I think, is going to wrap up episode 155 of Commander Central. Our podcast theme is Retro Future Dirty by Kevin MacLeod, licensed via Creative Commons. Our show is edited by Ken Peddle. You can find him on Twitter at LOAD3R. If you want to talk to us, you can find Chris on Twitter at YSquishy1. You can find Dana at Dana Roach, and you can talk to me at CMDRCentral_Max. We'll be back Thursday with another Decks You Play, and until then, I'm Max.
And I'm Chris.